Before continue with part 5, let's us recall the content covered in part 4. Basically in part 4, we discuss about the while and do-while loop. In the while or do-while loop structure, the both loop keeps repeating an action until the condition returns false. This is useful when the programmer does not know in advance how many times the loop will be repeated. In do-while loop it will at least enter the loop once. In part 5, we will look at for loops. Now, let us look at for loop structure. The for loop is the most popular, although the function is similar to while and do-while. It executes the specified statement as long as the condition is true. Unlike the while and do-while loop, the for loop is normally used when we knew the number of loop to be made. Or in other words, we knew the loop will be traversed a fixed number of times. Now let us look at the syntax. There are 3 important elements in the bracket, each separated by semicolon. They are initialization, test expression, and incrementation. 1. The initialization part is used to initialize any variable. This part is performed just once at the beginning of the loop. 2. The expression part determines whether the loop execution should continue. If the value of the expression is true, the statement block will be executed, otherwise the loop will be terminated. 3. The third one is a statement to be run every time the loop body is completed. This is usually an increment of the loop counter. However, it is possible to have a decrement. Now look at this example. This code will print the integers 1 to 10 same as in the while and do-while example. See video part 4. It starts with the initial value 1, that is I equals 1. Then the for loop will check whether I is less than or equal to 10. Next it will display the value I and follow with increment I by 1. The for loop repeated until the test expression I less than or equal to 10 is false. Now look at this example. This code will calculate the total number from 1 to 5 same as in the while and do-while example. See video part 4. It starts with the initial value 1, that is I equals 1, then the for loop will check whether I is less than or equal to 5. Next it calculate the total by summing total with I. Next I increment by 1. The for loop repeated until the test expression I less than or equal to 5 is false. To see the difference, consider your previous exercise on while and do-while. See part 4, but this time use for instead. Now let us look at this example. This code will print the integer 2 to 10 with the incrementation of 2. Note that the initialization does not have to be 0, and the incrementation value does not necessarily be 1. The output is shown as in the video. Of the repetition discussed so far can also be nested. This means a while loop can be applied within another while loop, a do-while loop can be used within another do-while loop, and a for loop can also be placed within another for loop. Additionally, all of the loop can also be used with other loop structure, for example while with do-while or even with for loop and vice versa. Let us have some fun doing another exercise. If you look at the question, it asks us to display the star pattern with 1 star on the first line, 2 star on the second line, 3 star on the third line. Stop when 5 star had been displayed. Hence, we could imagine having nested loop. In this case we could use for loop because we knew the number of loop. Type in the code and see what happens. The first for loop, we will refer to this as outer loop, will act as a counter for the number of line. While the second loop, we will refer to this as an inner loop, will act as the counter that will print the star horizontally. If you look at the codes, the outer for loop, I equals 1, I less than or equal 5, I plus plus, will act as the outer loop. It will check whether I less than or equal to 5. Yes, it is true. Then the program will goes to the inner loop, that is, j equals 1, j less than or equal I, j plus plus. In this inner loop, it will check whether is it j less than or equal to I. Remember that I equals 1, hence it is true, and the program will print a star. Next, j increment and the inner loop goes to check whether j less than or equal to I. It is false because now j equals 2 and while I equals 1. Hence, the program exit the inner loop and the program print a new line. Next it goes to the outer loop. I increase and now I equals 2. The outer loop will check whether I less than 5, yes, and the program now enter the inner loop. Again j is assigned as 1 and the loop check whether is j less than 2. Yes, and it goes into the loop and print a start. Remember this is in a second line. Next j increment and j equals 2. It again check whether is j less than or equal to 2. Yes, and the program print a star again. J now become 3 and exit the inner loop and goes to a new line. I increase and the loop repeat until I greater than 5. The answer is shown. Try run the code. Also try removing the print new line and see what happen. The test for control statement. Remember, programming is easy and fun.